Hello, good evening. Welcome to episode 15 of Kids Corner, Book Talks for Kids. My name is Sam. Hi, I'm the children's librarian here at the Ukiah Branch Library. And in Kids Corner, Book Talks for Kids, I will introduce you to 3 to 5 of the new, that is published within the last 6 months, books here in the Ukiah Branch Library Children's Room. So today I have one chapter book to talk about, and we have one graphic novel, and then we have 2 picture books that I wanted to introduce you to. 1 and 2. So we are going to do a brief little chat about each of these books, and then at the end I will let you know about a couple things that are going to be happening in the children's room or are currently going on, and we should be done within about 15 to 20 minutes. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start off with Finding Jennie Kim by Ellen O. Now Junie, right here, carrying her little sibling on her back, just wants to fit in. I'm sure we've all felt this way before. So she keeps her head down and she tries to avoid attention from other people. But then racist graffiti starts to show up at her middle school, and Junie needs to decide for herself whether she should stay quiet or start speaking up. So then one of Junie's teachers assigns a history project, and Junie decides for her project to interview her grandparents, both of whom survived the Korean War. And she learns all about their experiences surviving that war. She learns to admire her grandmother's determination to protect her family, and she learns to admire her grandpa's compassion, his insistence on compassion during wartime. And as the racism in her middle school becomes more and more and more of a pernicious problem, of a really bad problem that you can't root out, Junie learns how to tap into the strengths of both of her grandparents, her courageous grandma and her compassionate grandpa, and finds the courage to do just what is right, just like her grandma and grandpa did. So this one, as I say every single month, made me cry quite a lot, but in a really, really, really good, hopeful way. And Ellen O, the author of this book, here is a picture of her. She's very lovely. Is also the co-founder of a community organization called We Need Diverse Books. And she has said that the story in this book is inspired by her own mother's real experiences during the Korean War. She said that writing this helped her find strength in learning about her mother's life, and that in turn, she felt the need to gift readers with this 359-page, it's pretty long, chapter book all about family and survival and hope and identity, and equally as importantly, the reminder that we have within us, you already have inside of you everything you need to overcome whatever is going to come your way. You are stronger than you think. Oh, I'm going to cry. Okay, so this book is 41 chapters, and it includes a short epilogue, an author's note, and a glossary of Korean terms, because Ellen O does include quite a few Korean words. So there's a full glossary of Korean terms for those of you who don't watch a ton of K-dramas and have a basic understanding of very, very common words already. And I would recommend this book for readers ages 9 and up, because it is fairly dense. There are no illustrations, and each page has quite a bit of text on it. And there's just a lot of context to be had in this book that if you don't have a little bit more lived experience, you might need some help understanding. But you know what? That's what we have grown-ups in our lives for. If you read this and you read something you don't understand, just ask somebody a question and hopefully they will help you out. So that being said, I would recommend it for 9 and up, but I recommend all of the children's books that I talk about for all ages above that. So if you're an adult and you're looking for a book to really get you crying in the best way, I highly recommend Finding Jennie Kim by Ellen O. They're not just for children. All right, so next we're going to talk about a graphic novel that is very, very relevant today. And this graphic novel was originally published in 1993 by the same author, and he felt that it was very apt and appropriate to republish it this past year. And this is called Borders. Borders is a graphic novel written by Thomas King, and this version was illustrated by Natasha Donovan. I love the illustrations in this graphic novel. I love the way she draws eyes. The eyes are so expressive. So the author's dedication for this book, let me flip to the page, says it all. It says it from the very beginning. Right here it says, "For the Blackfoot, who understand that the border is a figment of someone else's imagination." Now this is a graphic novel that has a very, very heavy subject matter. So I would highly recommend being ready for your kiddos to ask you questions if this is something that they're interested in reading. So the boy right here, at the heart of this middle grade, so grades 4 and up graphic novel, thinks he knows what to expect when he and his mom set out on a road trip from Canada down to the United States to visit his older sister. They've done this trip many times before. This isn't the first time. How different could it be? Well, something happens at the border that has never happened before. When they go to cross the border, as always, someone who works there asks them what nation they hail from, what nation they come from. And they reply, truthfully, Blackfoot Nation. They are Blackfoot. And suddenly, everything goes downhill. The border officer's reply is, well, that's great. I'm happy that you're proud, but you have to also either be American or Canadian. And mom and son are stuck in limbo after this between Canada and the United States because they are trapped there while the Border Patrol officers won't or refuse to acknowledge the sovereignty of the Blackfoot Nation in Canada. So in order to make their way home, both mom and son are going to have to learn how to break the lines, imaginary lines, according to the author and to many people, dividing these two colonized nations, and the only true road forward is going to be paved by their connection to their identities and to each other as mom and child. I'm getting very emotional. So this is a full-color graphic novel. Like I said, it's a republished version of the short story Borders that author Thomas King originally published in 1993. He is also of Cherokee and Greek descent, if that is of interest to anyone. This is an own stories story. And the timing of this re-release could not be more perfect, in my opinion. It's 171 pages approximately. Some pages have very, very sparse or no text at all, so if you don't want to count those, that's up to you. It is very sparse text, but it nonetheless deals with a very heavy topic, colonization and native sovereignty. So I would recommend this for readers ages 9 and up or 4th grade and up, and that is very much including adults. This one is an amazing graphic novel, and for anyone who says that graphic novels don't count as reading, I'm here to tell you that they do. All right, so that is Borders, written by Thomas King and illustrated by Natasha Donovan. Now on to a topic, or a book. I say this every month, a book that really made me cry. This is Eyes That Speak to the Stars by Joanna Ho and illustrated by Dung. You may recognize the style of this book. That is because it is a companion to last year's Eyes That Kiss at the Corners. Oh my gosh, that book was so good. Written by the same author and illustrated by the same person. So in this version, a young boy, right here, is forced to confront by an unkind drawing from his friend that his eyes look a little different from his friend's eyes at school. Now his friend probably didn't realize what he was doing when he drew the picture that forced this young man's recognition of his different shaped eyes, but his friend drew him with slits as eyes instead of eyes when everyone else in the picture had eyes. And this little boy went home to dad and was very, very, very upset. I might cry talking about this. The little boy realizes that they all have round eyes and his eyes look different, and the picture really, really, really shows it. And he goes home to dad and he's like, why did he draw me that way? Do I look so different from everybody else? And it isn't until he goes home and talks to his baba or his dad, that he realizes that his own, and I'm going to quote this, his own eyes rise to the skies and speak to the stars, shine like sunlit rays and glimpse trails of light from those who came before. This book is so lyrical and poetic and beautiful. And with his dad's help and his grandpa's help and his little baby brother's help, he realizes that his eyes are just like the rest of his family's eyes, and that is so beautiful. So, like I said, this is a gorgeous companion to Eyes That Kiss at the Corners, and both of these are picture books that are intended to inspire readers to recognize their own power and their own strength from within, and more importantly, to discover your ability to truly be yourself and find that beautiful. I absolutely love, by the way, that the author, Joanna Ho, and Dung Ho, the illustrator, chose to include the friend's drawing, where they drew the little boy with slits instead of eyes, while the rest of the kids had eyes, because I think it's a great reminder for all of us parents and caregivers and anyone that works with children or anybody at all, that your kiddos are never too young to have a conversation about diversity and physical differences and cultural differences and finding all of these things beautiful, because if we had had that conversation with the little boy who drew the picture, maybe he wouldn't have drawn his friend that way, and maybe his friend would never have been hurt. Maybe he would have, but maybe he wouldn't, and I really love that they included that in this book. It just really warmed my heart. So that being said, this is 32 pages of full color illustrations, very similarly done to Eyes That Kiss at the Corners. So beautiful. Look at the light and the color. Oh, they're gorgeous. This is Grandpa, by the way, and this is little brother, both of whom help our little boy learn to love his beautiful eyes. It's 32 pages of full color illustrations and pretty minimal text. There are some pages that have a full paragraph, a short paragraph, so that might be a little difficult for very early readers to get through on their own, but as always, that's what adults are there for, to ask questions if you need help. That being said, I recommend it for solo readers ages 5 or 6 and up. I think that if they're reading on their own by that point, this book will be totally fine for them. Otherwise, I recommend it for all school age story times and toddler story times if you are comfortable with modifying the text to make it a little bit easier to understand as you go. So that is Eyes That Speak to the Stars by Joanna Ho and illustrated by Dung Ho. And I love it so much. Okay, so finally, this is our shortest picture book for today. We have Olu and Greta by Diana Ejaita. I'm pretty sure it's Ejaita. If I'm saying that wrong, I'm very sorry. This is Olu and Greta. So Olu and Greta are cousins, and I love the illustrations in this book too. And Olu lives in Lagos, which is the largest city in Nigeria. And if you didn't already know, Nigeria is one of the many, many, many countries that makes up the continent of Africa. So this is Olu right here, and he lives in Lagos. And this is Greta, who lives in Milan, which is a very big city in Italy, one of the many countries in Europe. And, excuse me, they are cousins, but they have never met. They actually live far enough away that they've never had the chance to meet before. They live all the way across an ocean between Northern Africa and Europe. So even though they're cousins, they have never met in person because they live so far apart. But that doesn't mean they can't still play. They like to play together even though they're far apart by skating together and parading together and even pretending to be astronauts together, among many, many, many other things. And until they can meet in person, they will continue to send each other care packages, which is very nice, and talk face-to-face over the computer and with phones on FaceTime and stuff like that. And they will always dream, until they're able to do it, of having an adventure in one another's country. Now, this is a beautiful, very short, very lyrical picture book about all of the things that unite us across borders and cultures and languages and anything else that you can think of. And that's love. Love is what unites us across all of these things. And the author, Diana Ejaita herself, speaks 5 languages and has lived in 4 separate countries. And she has stated on the back of the book that her hope is that this book will encourage readers, and I quote, that love can unite you at any distance, unquote. The illustrations are very contrast heavy, like as you can see on the cover here. They're very, 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 very heavy in contrast, which is going to be really great for infants and toddlers. Very, very young infants will have their attention really captured by the high contrast because they can't quite make out details yet, so this is going to capture their attention. And it also has really sparse text, like I showed you on the pages. There's usually just 1 sentence per page, sometimes even just 1 sentence across 2 pages. Like this one, just 1 little sentence down here. So this is going to be a really great book for infants and toddlers, and I would recommend it for all age story times, toddler story times, baby story times, or just read with your kiddo at home. So again, that's Olu and Greta, written and illustrated by Diana Ejaita. So those are all the books we're going to talk about today. Again, Olu and Greta, Eyes That Speak to the Stars, Borders, I need to buy a copy of this one, that one just made me very emotional, and Finding Junie Kim. So these and any other book you ever see in the children's room with a red sticker on the spine will have been published within the last 6 months, so they are newly published books, and these are all available here in the children's room for you to check out if you're so interested. So for a little bit of news, we are still having a Children's Farmers Market on Wednesday morning and afternoons from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That will run about halfway through August. I believe the last one is on August 17th, and those are weekly. Our first one was on June 22nd, and this is the first time we've been able to do it in over 2 years. This is actually my first time participating because it wasn't able to happen. We had hit COVID by the time I started, almost. So I never got to do it. This is my first time too. So if you want to come say hi, please do. We have adorable vendors set up out front of the library selling their wares to anyone who is interested. It's very cute. We are also having Lego Hour every Tuesday from 3 to 4 here in the children's room. Kids are welcome to come in, make their own Lego creations, and then show them off on the Lego wall. I will take a picture with caregiver permission, of course, and we will post it on the Lego wall for all to admire. We also currently have 3 different registered therapy dogs that are coming into the library Wednesday afternoons. So that is now every Wednesday. We have another therapy dog who could fill the empty spots. So we have every single Wednesday from 3 to 4 in the afternoon a registered therapy dog here in the children's room for kiddos to practice reading to, or cuddle with, or just kind of hang out with while they read on their own. That's totally fine. It's a very low-key program. And then just a couple more. Friday mornings at 10:30 every Friday, we have toddler story time. That is ages 13 months to 4 or 5 years old. I allow quite a bit of give in the age range because it's the only story time we currently have. So if you are interested in joining us for songs and books and wiggles and bubbles, of course, please feel free to join us on Fridays at 10:30. It runs about half an hour. And then finally, on Saturdays, we are still doing Farmers Market story time. That will run through the end of August. It is from 10 to 11, and we have a wonderful volunteer who sets up over at the Ukiah Farmers Market on School Street, and they will read picture books for an hour to any kiddos that want to hang out while caregivers or families do their shopping. And next Friday, July 8th, I believe it is, will be the first day that postcards from camp kits are available for kiddos. So this is going to be a kit full of a postcard, everything you need to make your own creative, fun postcard however you want. And kids can make their own postcard with the supplies included in the kit. And then I will include an address over at Mountain View Assisted Living Facility. And if the kids are interested, I would love for them to write or draw what they've been doing this summer and what they've been reading about, what kind of graphic novels or picture books or chapter books or audio books they've been listening to, how they've been spending their summer, and put that on the postcard and mail it to a senior over at the assisted living facility so we can help make sure that they're included in summer reading this year. So that is everything current. I will probably have a lot more news next time, but for now that's going to be all of it. Thank you for joining me. I hope you learned something fun about some of the new books in the kids' room, and I will see you next month. Bye!